Hi there. Welcome to another episode of The Shift powered by ET Edge Insights. And today we have with us Mr. Amit Agarwal. He is the MD and CEO of Howden. Established in 1994, Howden has a global presence across 50 nations and it's one of the leading insurance intermediaries in the world. Amit, it's a pleasure to host you on ET Edge
Thank you.
Insights.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Amit, let me begin by asking you, when we talk about the dynamic risk environment with regards to the India Inc., so what is the change that has come in and what are the key drivers behind this change?
This is a very broad question. Let me just try to sort
Sure.
of concise it
Right.
for the sake of audience and anybody who's listening to this. See, whenever we talk about India Inc., let's say the organizations, large, mid-size, small, any.
Right.
When you get into any kind of business, the promoter or the founder of that business is any which way is looking at the geopolitical risk, the economic uncertainties attached to the business.
Right.
That's business itself, right? But in addition to that, in the last decade or so, I think what has really transpired in India is that the ubiquity of internet and mobile phones have helped that, right? Which also means that pretty much every single piece of information about us is available on the net,
Right.
right? Which means data, information, privacy, right? That has become a big issue if you see it like that. At one place it's opportunity, on the other side it's a big risk for the organizations who are dealing in data,
Right.
or any kind of information, let's say, right? So that's one big change. I would say that a lot of these entrepreneurs or these organizations are grappling with. Lastly, if you say again, I would say in the last decade or so, and it has taken ground more in the last 5 years, is the climate related risk, environmental risk, right? We had it before as well, but in the last few years, you might have seen the frequency of drought, flood, excessive rains, forest fires, a lot of it has started taking center stage, right? And why is it happening? There are certain environmental changes happening in some part of the world,
Right.
which is affecting all, right? And as a corporate citizen, these organizations may not be responsible for that, but they are responsible to contribute towards it, right? We at Howden has Howden Foundation, which feels very strongly around the climate control and climate risk, and we work a lot around this space. So if you see three things predominantly, I mean there are umpteen number of it, but three things that I would rate which are top of the mind, I would say, is political and economic volatility, I would say.
Right.
Number two, cyber and information related issues that are coming to see the organizations. And the last one is the environment and climate related risks
Right.
that are taking the center stage
Right. Right.
today. So that's what we feel about
Right.
this.
Interestingly, you talked about these 3 points. So I'll pick up on the cybersecurity aspect. Obviously, with the advent of digital transformation, what we are seeing, and the internet you just spoke about, cyber risks have gone up.
Absolutely.
So obviously, cyber insurance becomes a very critical type of insurance.
Absolutely.
While traditional insurances are in place, especially for companies in India, they may not be fully aware of how cyber insurance works.
Yeah.
So can you just put some your insights on how cyber insurance works and why is it critical for the Indian companies?
Oh, absolutely. I love this question because I would say you talk to any client of any size,
Right.
prospect, that corporates mainly, we are into corporate insurances only. You talk to a client of any size, today this topic takes more than 50% of our contact time, okay? And sometimes it's the whole nebula around what cyber insurance is all about,
Right.
okay? Everybody knows about it, that this exists, but what does it cover? How can it help them, right? And even if they have purchased insurances, whether it is fit for purpose or not. There are so many myths around cyber insurance that this actually takes, it's a very interesting conversation to have with the risk managers and the clients, and I would say the CISOs in the company, or even the CFO or the CEO. So if you see, cyber insurance is not a new concept. It has been in the market for about 25 years.
Right.
In India, it came, I would say, about 15 years or so. And in the last 5 to 7 years, it has taken a lot of shape. Where the way we look at cyber insurance in Howden, and then of course I will tell you that what is happening in the market is that about 12 years back, a gentleman called Shai Simkin, who's a global leader for cyber insurance, we call him Professor. He wrote the first cyber insurance policy in 1999 with the underwriters. Okay, and at that point in time, it had a very different connotation. The whole construct of the policy was very different. And then of course it evolved. Right. Now what he did was that he created an academy called Cyber Insurance Academy. It's based in Israel. It's an online academy where it doesn't make you a cyber expert, but it makes you an expert in the risk related to cyber. Right. And how to deal with them, right? So this is a program which is certified by a lot of international agencies as well. And if you an accredited member of this university, it sort of enhances your career prospects also. And there are a lot of people in our company who've gone through this program. It is a continuous education process that we want our employees to go through this so that they're more aware about it. But coming back to the clients, we've offered these programs to some clients as well, the risk managers, so that they're also able to just appreciate what cyber risk landscape is all about, right? Coming to what policy can cover. When we say cyber, suddenly everybody starts thinking about internet, okay? On the internet, people say, okay, if there is money in my bank account and somebody hacks into my bank account and steals the money, we believe it's going to be covered in cyber. In reality, it's not. Okay, cyber is more about theft of data, data breach, ransomware, phishing attacks, all of those kind of things, and liabilities attached to it and the costs attached to it, right? In India, we sort of long time back, we did this bit of a innovation so that the clients should at least feel comfortable, and we attach the computer crime element to the cyber policy itself, which actually takes care of the loss of money if somebody hacks into your account. So that element gets covered in that particular segment. But a lot of times clients are not really aware of it, because when you add more to any insurance, the cost go up. And a lot of times if the advisor is not aware themselves, they would not be able to differentiate between these nuances, right? Now, coming back to your question, in India, I believe there would be anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 corporate cyber policies. We ourselves do about 150 to 175 cyber insurance policies. And we've seen that this number has climbed from just about 23 to about, let's say, 175 in just about 4 years' time. A lot of our corporates are asking for it, and they are buying it as well. So a lot of those conversations, which used to just be conversation about some new thing happening in the market, is actually converting into a purchase now. So that's one thing. The second thing is, and this is a very nuanced thing about cyber insurance, is that when you buy a cyber insurance, the insurance company is basically providing you the contingent capital, right? That tomorrow if the claim hits and your liability is established, the insurance company is going to pay this amount. But that's not the only value that cyber insurance brings in. It brings in a lot of infrastructure, right? Loss surveyors, forensic accountants, consultants who actually know this paradigm really well, and who are able to quickly come in and plug any kind of losses. Now, let's assume for a minute, if you're comparing it with a fire loss. The fire happened and the loss happened. Your asset got burnt down. The value of the asset will remain same on day 1 or day 2. Cyber insurance is one of the insurances. The more time you spend figuring out what to do next, the higher your loss. As soon as you're able to plug it, the losses will be less. And that is what these consultants and this whole infrastructure that comes along with the policy is able to deliver for the customers. So when we advise our clients, we always say that choosing the right insurer is very important. Choosing the right advisor is very important, and ultimately making sure that whether it comes with the right infrastructure, that's the most important in the cyber policy. So that's where we see things happening, and I believe globally cyber is one of the fastest growing premiums in the world, in India too. I believe the number that stands at around 2,000 in next 5 years time, I wouldn't be surprised if this is more than 5,000 policies in the market. Corporate, I'm talking. There are retail cyber products available as well, which people like you and I can buy just to safeguard our data. Right? Because copying a person's identity today is very easy. Right? I was reading the newspapers some time back where an individual's personal records are available at $100. Right? I can buy your data in $100, replicate you, go to a bank, seek a loan, and then default on it. And there are products around in the market, well underwritten individual cyber product who can actually safeguard you for that. So cyber insurance has evolved a lot, and I'm sure there is a lot more to be done in this space.
Right. You raised the very critical point of awareness and also instilling a culture of learning. Like you just talked about how critical it is for the employees as well as in the organization to understand the intricacies of any kind of insurance. Well, one of the most critical factors of any insurance, especially if you look at it from the client side, is trust. So how do you probably you say it with regards to Howden, how do you instill that that build that trust within your client and say, yes, this is the insurance to go after?
Couple of things which are actually quite cultural for us. The first and the foremost is transparency. Okay. So whenever we are going and talking to a client about a product that they have been buying or something new that we are requesting them to buy because it is good for them, the first and the foremost thing that we start with is that this is what this product will do for you. This is what this insurance policy will do for you, right? So a lot of times the advisors will start from what it would cover. We try to start from what it will not cover. Right? So as a buyer, you're totally aware that it is not all encompassing. Anything under the sun is not covered.
Very important.
And in an insurance contract, see, one should understand that it's not a financial guarantee. There are terms and conditions attached to insurance policy. There are exclusions under the insurance policy. There are certain obligations of the insured who's buying the insurance to meet so that the insurance policy can trigger. And sometimes talking about these basic things build that trust that nobody spoke to us about it. We've been buying it for the last 10 years, but nobody came and talked about it. That's one. Number two is the process of education. As I said, when you are transparent, when you're openly discussing, there are so many doubts or questions that the client comes up with. And if you're able to answer those questions in all honesty, that this is what we believe it stands for, I think you're immediately striking a chord. Right? And the last bit is the value proposition. That if I'm asking you to do something, does it really hold any value for you? If I'm recommending a particular policy to you, am I able to justify your expenditure on that policy? Whether I'm able to really help you, that when you go to your CFO or to your board and present the case, I have provided you enough backing that it is actually good for you and you will be able to stand those questions. Right? When you're able to do these three things in tandem, I think most of the time that trust automatically gets established. And I'm not saying that we do this every time and we end up winning a client every time. But what we end up winning is a person who now trusts us, and for hundreds of reasons they may not be able to give us the business or whatever it is. But then we become a trusted advisor to them. They might be doing business with anybody, but they will always pick up a phone on my guys and say, I'm trying to do this time I can't do it with you because of certain reasons, but can you help me with this? And our guys are always ready to help, because ultimately we always believe that it's people's business, right? Transactions would happen whenever they would happen. And we're all here in this industry for a long time, right? And fortunately for us, it's a 12-month contract. It renews every 12 months, right? So if not this year, next year. If not next year, maybe next year after that. So it will happen. But we believe in building those relationships before anything else. So just to summarize all of it: transparency, education or awareness, and value proposition. These three things help us build that trust in anything that we are trying to do with our clients.
Right. Amit, we talk about emerging technologies, and something that always I mean, this is the thing that has been coming up is AI. So when we talk about artificial intelligence in the insurance sector, with regards to risk management, how do you see AI playing a role in this, in a good way or in a bad way? What is your assessment of AI?
Between you and me, I do not claim to be an expert, and I would have just gathered some things about AI,
Right.
reading the articles and all things. But just thinking aloud, if I may, the goods that I'm talking about is that maybe there are a lot of things that humans are good at, and ultimately this AI is developed by us, right? So, and I also believe it is here to stay because it helps, right? The positives that I see is that there are a lot of things that are repetitive in our business, right? Whether it's insurance companies, insurance brokers, TPAs, or any other participant in this industry. A lot of work that we do sometimes is repetitive, which probably does not need a human intervention, right? I think AI-driven models, AI-driven softwares probably can do that job a lot more quicker, more efficiently going forward, provided used well, right? But at the same point in time, then we also have to monitor it well, that it's not going out of our hands, right? So efficiency creation is certainly something that I see that AI can add.
Right.
There are a lot of scenarios that we have to work on, and mostly these scenarios are whenever we are innovating with a product, or when we are working on a loss scenario, or when we are envisaging and we are doing a stress testing of a policy with a client, right? We're saying that these are the 100 scenarios that a client would envisage as an organization, and they would want to stress test it against the wordings of the insurance policy and say, okay, this claim is going to cover it in the policy or not.
Right.
When an individual is doing it, sometimes personal biases come into play, right? I may say yes, you may say no, right? And we both may see those wordings in a very different fashion because it's ultimately a legal contract, right? But when you give these kind of jobs to an AI, it would just present what's true, right? So these are some of the things where I see AI can play a good role in making things efficient, faster, more robust, kind of advice that we're giving to the clients. Now on the wrong side, right? We haven't really seen it yet, and I wouldn't say it's the wrong side of it because honestly, as I said, I haven't delved too much into it. But
is it the risk side?
Risks certainly.
Yes.
We are yet grappling, or rather, the insurance industry is yet grappling to figure out a solution around it. Now, you would have seen a lot of deep fakes, videos, pictures, calls, a lot of it. We are grappling as to what is the solution to it. How can we help our clients or individuals insure it? We honestly don't have a solution right now, but I'm sure in future probably an AI-driven model itself may help us find a solution for insuring these things as well. But certainly, see, with every opportunity comes risks as well, right? We may just not know it, and just because we do not know it so well, we are not able to design insurances around it. Because I sincerely believe that there are pretty much every kind of operational risks, if analyzed well, can actually be covered in an insurance policy. Of course, sometimes the costs are prohibitive, and hence it may not make cost-benefit sense for the customer to buy it. But we believe insurance sector has evolved really well, not just in India, globally, that we are able to mitigate a lot of our clients' risks whenever a new situation has arisen. So maybe in the near future you would see insurances around AI as well, covering risks related to AI.
Since you touched upon the newer insurances, are there some of these emerging insurances you can think of which will be critical in the coming years? You just talked 100%. About AI insurance.
100%.
Are there any more you can just think of? That is going to help.
100%. Yeah. So let's say cyber. Okay. Although we may say that this is new and it has been around for 10, 12, 15 years, but it is going to stay. Okay. From the total premium point of view, the number of policies point of view, it's still very young, right? So we certainly believe that cyber is one cover that almost all the clients should think about. They should be talking to a good intermediary, a good insurance company, a good partner who can help them identify a good cover for them, what is fit for purpose, and they must really think about buying it. That's one. Second, in the start of our conversation, I spoke about climate risk. right? Now, we're proud to say that Howden was one of the very few brokers in the country who have done a parametric policy. Now, you might have read in the newspapers a few months back that Mahila Housing Trust in Gujarat actually bought a cover for this, wherein more than 26,000 daily wage earners, females, were covered against a heat index. Okay. Now, for them, 500 rupees a day means a lot, because they are daily wage earners. Couple of days, if they are not able to earn, it might actually mean that they go, hungry stomach while they sleep. So, this policy basically does this, that as soon as the temperature of a particular zone hits a certain mark, the policy gets triggered.
Right.
Okay, and we actually created two triggers in that. One was 45 degrees, other was 48 degrees. So as soon as you 45 degrees get hit, you get a certain amount paid directly in the bank account of those people, of those females. Right. And fortunately, within a month or so, it actually got hit, and we have actually got those claims settled. Right. So it's a stress-tested policy, and parametric insurance is a concept. It can be applied to property insurance, it can be applied to health insurance, it can be applied to supply chain, it could be applied to a lot of other factors as well, right? So that is one thing that we are currently working upon.
Right.
So dealing with the climate risk, as I said. And a lot of times climate risk need not necessarily mean that we're trying to buy new type of insurance. It may mean more of the same kind of insurance.
Right.
We just need a sort of assessment to it, that if this kind of climatic vagary happens, what kind of insurance should we be buying and how much? Right. A lot of time that also makes a lot of difference. So climate control and climate risks and insurance play in that. We really feel that it's really a force for good. Right. Okay, we truly believe that if, as an organization, we are able to make any difference in the lives of individuals because of this insurance product, if it helps them lead a better life, we would be really glad that we were able to make that difference. And the last one, which is a sort of, I wouldn't again say it's a new age product, but you would see that more and more Indian companies are becoming international. Right. You would have Indian employees sitting in different countries for long-term assignments, 6 months, 12 months, or maybe longer, right? And one thing that a lot of our Indian organizations or the HR teams were grappling with was building health benefits for them, health insurance policies for them, right? And in the past year or so, we have developed quite good capabilities around that, wherein we are able to monitor, help our HR friends monitor the total health spend that they're doing for all their expat employees going from India to abroad. And it can be centrally designed program. So they have control, there is parity on the coverages that they're giving, they can very easily monitor whether their employees are getting proper delivery of services or not, all of those kind of things. It's quite a fancy product that we have been able to develop. So 3 things I would say which take central stage for us today in the new age scenario, and then there are hundreds of things that we keep doing. But the first one would be cyber, the second would be around climate, and the third one would be around expat insurance, as we call it.
Right, right. So, just picking up on this expat insurance, certainly, you've explained how India is actually going global and getting into that, that international standards. So, if you just compare the insurance sector per se with the global scenario, the Indian insurance sector, how do you see it? I mean, it's evolving, as you said, but is it par, or it's going to be some years till India reach that kind of a sentiment where India is recognized as, okay, this is one of those insurance hubs in the world? What's your view on
I can talk about this the whole day, but in a nutshell, if you say, if you ask me today, if I include life insurance and general insurance together, and any other, I mean, I'm talking about trade credit, I'm talking about the crop insurance, all of it put together, the total insurance spent in India, if I include, that would be about 4 to 4.1% penetration to our GDP.
Right.
Okay. In certain other developing countries, it is around 6 to 7%. So you can imagine that there is still a lot of gap to cover. Secondly, even today, insurance is fraught with a bit of mistrust.
a lot of times before buying the insurance policy, individuals like us feel very confused what to buy, whether I should buy, how much am I going to get back? If I have paid 10,000 rupees of premium, what am I getting back? So the concept of insurance is a little misunderstood. And I go to the grassroots, and when I say grassroots, I sincerely believe financial management of an individual is something that should be taught in schools. It should be a subject for a lot of people.
Very
kids,
important point.
Yeah, and insurance should be a part in that. They should be taught that what insurance can do for you. Health insurance, life insurance, home insurance, pet insurance, two-wheeler, four-wheeler, gadget. There are umpteen number of insurances, but what it can do for you should be taught at the grassroots level, so that when they grow up, it becomes a part of their psyche. That's something good to have.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you see the concept of insurance, it's simply about a lot of people pay small amounts so that somebody who's going through a very big issue can be helped with a larger amount. Very simply put, right? It is growing at about 12% odd, the industry. A lot of reports say that by 2032, 2034, in the next decade, let's say, India insurance industry is going to be close to $450 billion from today's $140 billion. So it's going to almost triple in the next 10 years' time. Fair? Now, if you really look at pure numbers, we are independent for about 78 years, right? 77 years. And we have reached a total landmark of about $140 billion or $150 billion, let's say, give or take, as a total premium.
Right.
We are talking about reaching 450 billion in just about 10 years' time. So we are going to add twice of that number in just 10 years. That of course means that there is a lot of awareness about it. A lot of people want to buy it, right? And insurance companies, intermediaries, aggregators, everything has really helped this cause. What we as an industry player have to do is just make these products available to the larger janta. That's one.
Right.
And B, make these products more simplified and fit for purpose. Right? If a person buys an insurance, they should have that kind of trust in them that if I have bought it for a specific reason, when the event happens, the policy will pay.
Right.
This is the very basic that insurance has to achieve, and hence we will reach there.
Right.
This government really understands the concept of insurance. They have utilized the concept of insurance for so many aspects, and I really would say that they've done a fantastic job with it. Whether it is Fasal Bima Yojana, whether it is the Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, whether it is Swasthya Bima, they have done an amazing job. In the Pradhan Mantri Jan Jeevan Bima Yojana, more than 25 crore people, if I remember it correctly, have been covered.
Right.
Now, to mobilize that kind of insurance, to be able to bring in that kind of number in that, I don't think there is anybody in the world who has been able to achieve it.
Right.
Now, UPI attaching to the bank account, directly premiums being deducted from your bank account, the benefits directly being given to your bank account, these are the kind of things this Digital Bharat has been able to achieve, and I believe it's amazing. The foundation is set. We just have to play our part, and I'm sure all of us are going to be around in the next 10 years' time.
Right.
And I sincerely believe that insurance in India is going to be a $450 billion industry. Today we are the 6th largest globally. We believe that number is going to take us to the top 4, if not more.
Right, right.
So,
well said, Amit. One last question. Where do you see Howden in the next 4 to 5 years? And as a CEO, how do you see your role in this entire development and growth?
so let me answer this question not for 4 or 5 years, but 6 years. And I would say, why 6 years? We are in 2024, and 6 years take us to 2030. Right? So it's a good round number, close of decade, and we already have our plan set for that time. The way we have been growing in the last 5 years, not only in India but globally as well, I believe the stage is set for Howden to become a $100 million business in India itself. Okay, what that means for us is that we are going to be looking at managing close to $2.5 to $3 billion in premium by then, across all lines. That includes employee benefits, property marine construction,
liability, cyber is going to be one of the biggest driving force for that. M&A insurance, transaction risk, these are some of the things that we are going to be focusing on. And the last but not the least is the reinsurance. Today we are probably the most savvy reinsurance broker in the country, and a lot of insurance partners that we work with, either on the cedent side or on the reinsurance side, they really respect us for what we bring on the table. So that's the plan for Howden India for the next 5 or 6 years. As a CEO, what it means to me is that I certainly want us to achieve that, but the role that I feel I play in it is that I have a very capable team, right? And with this capable team, a lot extra could be achieved if they are able to work together. So my first and the foremost priority is to make sure that all my leaders are aligned with each other, are aligned with the organizational goal, and they're working together to deliver the organizational goal. That's number one. The second thing that I believe, as a CEO, I'm not the boss, I'm the facilitator, right? So I keep telling them that I am a support function. I'm not a business function. So I'm here to support you guys to facilitate any challenges that you face within or outside, and I try to deliver my role accordingly. I play my part, try to play my part. That's what it means for me.
Empowering your employees, that is one of the certain ways of and collaboration, as you said, that is the right part towards growth. Fantastic. It was a fabulous interview. Thank you for all the insights. I'm sure our audiences learned a lot about insurance today.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving us the time. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Amit. Thank you.